Hi, it's me again. Monday, the 25th of May 2020, and all we are hearing about is Dominic Cummings and his trip to get his son safely to relatives. The press have been camping outside his house. They have brought up a van with a huge screen on the side playing the government stay home video with no regard for the fact that he has a young autistic child in the house, nor with any consideration for the other residents in the street. So, what's this all about? Well, Dominic Cummings, a senior advisor to the Conservative government, has been accused of breaking the lockdown rules, and because the press is run by left-wing Remainer bigots, they have hounded him ever since it came to light. First of all, they are not rules. They are guidance. If they'd been rules, then about 25% or more of the population of the UK would be in jail now for refusing to follow the guidance. Did he break the terms of the guidance? Well, having received multiple complaints from the Twitter crowd of keyboard warriors all sitting in their bedrooms with the curtains closed and their computer on a desk in the corner, the police investigated the incident. Of course, they have nothing better to do. They came to the conclusion that he did not break the terms of the guidance of lockdown. So what did he actually do, and why? Well, in March, he drove 260 miles to his parents' home in County Durham. But allegations in the Observer and the Sunday Mirror said that the former Vote Leave boss did not stay indoors whilst in Durham, and also that he made another trip there after returning to London in April. This is typical of the left-wing Remainer press when they see a chance to attack a right-wing Brexiteer. They use innuendo, gossip, and ignore what officials, in this case the police, have to say on the matter. They are also highly hypocritical, as we shall see shortly. It is denied that he did not stay indoors, and the police investigations have not found any witnesses who are willing to say publicly that they saw him outside. The reason he went to his parents' home was that he has an autistic son and a wife with corona symptoms. He was concerned that he would also get the disease, so he needed to get his son to a safe place. Seems reasonable to me. Because the child is autistic, he has to be left with someone whom he knows and trusts. Now, there have been accusations that he should have left the child with his sister and brother-in-law in London. But who are we to judge? That poor child may not have been able to cope in that situation. Autism brings its peculiarities, and those who suffer from it are not all the same. Autistic kids often don't get on with every member of the family. Obviously, the police, who are not known for their right-wing leanings, consider that he did nothing wrong. And here, it is important to read the relevant clause in the guidance. In brief, the guidance says that if anyone in the household has symptoms, the whole household should isolate. That's fairly plain enough. You can see the details of this on the government website. But I think the salient clause, however, is the following. If you can, move any vulnerable individuals out of your home to stay with friends or family for the duration of the home isolation period. So, Mrs. Cummings had symptoms and should have self-isolated. Mr. Cummings was concerned that his 4-year-old autistic child, who is unable to clean and feed himself, would be in dire straits if Mr. Cummings himself were to come down with a disease. In my book, that child was vulnerable, and any parent would want his welfare to be paramount. The police evidently satisfied that Mr. Cummings remained in the car on the journey and went into an empty house when he got there, and that he did not go out and about whilst he was there. So what about the press? Are they really hypocrites? Well, I think that anyone who saw the video of them crowding around him as he tried to cross the road to his car will immediately see that they were breaking the guidance in a manner that, if they had seen Cummings doing it, would have had them screaming for his blood. No masks, crowding together, attempting to get right in his face. Cummings was waving his laptop in front of him in a vain attempt to get them to socially distance themselves, but to no avail, of course. And even more hypocrisy is that whilst they were expending huge resources on hounding a man even after the police had cleared him, they are strangely silent about other cases. Could it be because such other cases are perpetrated by the left-wing Remainers? Stephen Kinnock, for example. This millionaire with a millionaire wife earning hundreds of thousands of pounds from a charity delivered a birthday cake to his millionaire father. Why didn't the press hound him? Was it because delivering a birthday cake is more important than the welfare of a child? Or is it because he's both left-wing and a Remainer? Then there's Tahir Ali. He's the Labour MP for Birmingham Hall Green. He went to a funeral with 100 other mourners, all against the guidance. Now, I sympathise that he's in mourning. But has he been hounded for days by the press? If not, is it because he's a Muslim in Birmingham and people are afraid of being called racist? Or is it because he's a Labour MP and not a Conservative? And from Wales, we have Vaughan Gething. Vaughan Gething's Labour's Welsh Health Minister. And he was tucking into chips at a picnic table with no attempt at social distancing, despite telling people to stay at home and save lives. Another Labour politician. Is that the reason for him not being hounded? He is the Welsh Health Minister, so don't tell me that Cummings is being hounded because he should be setting an example. Surely this Health Minister should be setting an example too. Admittedly, all three were briefly chastised in the press, but they were not hounded the way that Cummings and his family are being hounded. They have a 4-year-old autistic son, and yet the press are happy to crowd around his door, ignoring distancing, putting up the huge TV screen on the side of a van in the street outside his home. How do you think a 4-year-old with autism is going to cope with that? I suppose he might not be in the house. I don't know, but do the press know? And people of Britain, what about you? How many of the people harping on about this have also ignored the rules? How many of you have been to see friends, gone to the beach or the park, or not adhered to social distancing? How many of you who are hounding this man for what you perceive to be a breaking lockdown so-called rules are doing anything to stop the influx of illegal migrants from a foreign safe country, half of whom have the virus, and many have TB as well? At the end of the day, this is a storm in a teacup. And it is happening because Britain has sunk so low. It's happening because the left really actually hate the right. The Remainers really truly hate the Leavers. We live in an age where nobody is allowed to have a different opinion. If you disagree with someone, it's no longer usual to debate with an open mind. It has to revert to shouting and screaming fascist and racist, or deplatforming a speaker with a different point of view, because free speech means speech I agree with. And how dare you think differently from me? That's wrongthink, and wrongthink is hateful and hurts my poor feelings, and I want a safe space to crawl into until the nasty man is sacked and his family is driven to the brink of despair because he had no right to hurt my feelings. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just said until the nasty man is sacked. I should have said until the nasty, probably human, but possibly a penguin of a gender I don't know because they has not told me what gender they have chosen to be is sacked. You're all just a bunch of bloody wusses. See ya.